Most real estate projects don't fail. They don't blow up. They don't go bankrupt. They don't make headlines. They just quietly disappoint. And if you're a developer or investor, this is one of the hardest truths to accept. Because on paper, everything looks fine. The deal is closed. The project got built. Lease-up happened. Stabilization was achieved. And yet, performance never quite matches the expectation. In this video, I want to talk about why that happens. Not from a theory, not from a spreadsheet, but from what actually shows up after stabilization, when the cameras are all gone and the real work begins. I'm Corey Bonner. I work with real estate operators, developers, investors every single day. And I've seen this pattern play out across markets and asset types. And almost every time, the problem isn't the deal, it's the handoff between development and operations. Why stabilization is misleading. Stabilization feels like the finish line. Occupancy is up, rent is coming in, investors relax a bit, attention shifts to the next project, but stabilization isn't the end of the risk. It's where the risk changes form. Before stabilization, risk is obvious and visible. You've got construction risk. You've got construction risk, capital risk, lease-up velocity. Everyone is watching closely. After stabilization, risk goes quiet. Expenses creep up. You get staffing strains, slower turns, inconsistent leasing, deferred maintenance decisions. These don't trigger alarms. They don't feel urgent, and that's exactly why they're dangerous. Here's what most people miss. You can hit stabilization and still be setting yourself up for underperformance because stabilization only tells you one thing: the demand showed up. It tells you nothing about whether the asset will perform effectively over time. The phase nobody warns developers about. There's a phase after stabilization that almost nobody talks about. I call it the performance phase. This phase doesn't show up on a pro forma. It shows up in day-to-day execution. This is where leasing urgency drops because the pressure is all gone. Staffing models that worked during lease-up stop working at scale. Now, you've got maintenance that shifts from punch lists to volume-based work. Small inefficiencies compound month after month. Nothing breaks all at once. Margins just get thinner, and because nothing feels on fire, most teams don't react until the underperformance is already baked in. This is where I see good projects slowly turn into average performers. They weren't bad deals, just disappointing ones, where projects actually underperform. Now, in my experience, underperformance almost always comes from the same place. Let's break them down. Number one, staffing assumptions. What worked during lease-up rarely works long-term. Lease-up teams are built for speed. Operation teams are built for consistency. When the transition doesn't happen cleanly, you get burnout. You get missed follow-ups, inconsistent service, rising labor cost with declining efficiency. That hits NOI quietly. Now, number two, your maintenance flow. This is a big one, and it honestly should even be number one. This is one of the big ones. During lease-up, maintenance is relatively manageable. Small items from the punch list, many little things that break. But post-stabilization, when the volume increases, people move in, start using it, and we get into year 1.5, year 2, turns will start to take longer. Preventative maintenance gets delayed. Small issues become larger repairs. Not because people don't care, but because systems weren't designed for scale. Number three, leasing consistency. After stabilization, leasing often becomes good enough. Follow-ups are slow. Standards drift. Urgency fades. Again, they're not getting the bonuses for leasing up. That leads to longer vacancy, weaker renewals, more concessions than expected. Again, these are not dramatic, just enough to drag the performance down. Again, that's why systems and teams designed for certain time periods are important. So let's get into number 4, the operational ownership. This is the hardest one to see. Decisions become reactive instead of intentional, again, based on the NOI. Expenses creep up because trends are not tracked. Processes exist, but no one owns the lane. Problems get addressed late, and late decisions are always more expensive. Now, none of these issues destroy a project overnight, but together they quietly erode your NOI year after year. Why this matters more in 26 and beyond. Here's the future projection most people miss. The next few years won't punish bad projects. They'll punish sloppy operations. Residents are now way more informed than they've ever been before. Expectations are much higher than they've ever been. And the labor market is so much tighter, especially for operators. Regulations vary more by market. That means the margins for error are shrinking. They're getting tighter. In the past, you could get away with inefficiencies. Going forward, inefficiencies show up faster, and it's harder to hide. The projects that win long-term won't be the ones that leased the fastest. They'll be the ones that planned the handoff early, that had built operational systems that were intentional for the areas that they're in. Treated stabilization as a transition, not the finish line. It doesn't stop after you've stabilized. Key positioning line. So good design gets you good residents. Good operations keeps performance. If you're developing or investing in real estate, don't treat operations like an afterthought. Stabilization isn't the finish line. It's the moment where the real work begins. If you want to see how build-to-rent projects protect NOI and performance long after lease-up, I put together a free case study that breaks down in detail. You can go ahead and grab it at corybonner.com/case study. And if this kind of real operator level insight is useful for you, subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep digging into these parts of real estate that most people don't talk about.